take notice. Proclamation judicial, not a Mason official. Temple head on a swivel, see rights are not civil. Jurisdiction challenge, railroaded acquittal. Ex parte, no trial, dismissal is artificial. Straw man is not a lawman, but ends legis. In color of courts, more racket than tennis. Where colored man has no rights. And sick of this more thing, Jamal and Black Knight, Robin Hood and Zim, not Cornish but Moorish American, stand on squares, surging adrenaline. Take notice, for the cross with a fez on. Your favorite rapper has a dress on and leave press-ons. Take notice, you got hex and lost focus, while I see with eyes behind my head like Jokic. Are you listening or under hypnosis? Is intelligence overpowered by your emotions? Take notice, crack team shots give blood clots, know what the Gen Z zombie culture. No Thanksgiving eating thighs of turkey vultures. Never see slaves, only black or more sculptures. Take notice, hailstorms and swarms locusts. When affirming, no claps, hands, palms open. That man's with hugs, brotherly love, holy covenant. Take notice, Moorish government, unconscious Moors used to meet quotas. Chicago congressman won from the Moorish voters. Elders took notice. So what Drew Ali said, Oscar Bay next to the prophet cause the priest is dead. Bay Anderson on his right, Moorish hijab. Right to bear arm, Moors might wear a niqab. Law and order mind, traders drawing quarter time. Cutting off hands and ears for committing a crime. Vegan beef with dirty Moors is not a family feud. Families fight, one's wrong, have perception skewed. Spiritual altitude, lower self-subdued. No sucrose drinks or European poison foods. Holistic versus my flow is alkalines. Pastor only speaking tongues from altar wines. For treason they all face the firing line. Most bystander not preventing the crime. Society invites it, then rewrites it. If a battle can't be won, don't fight it. Not saying see corruption and be silent, be defiant. Never punished all the clever corporate tyrants. Take notice, politicians hurt their own children. Yours get shot up and in the news for causing killings. Calling them black translates to living in death. Trans march for rights with their BIPOC breath. Take notice, sex ed taught in daycare. False evidence appearing real is how you say fear. Claim you're woke but still you're dead and sleeping. Can't you see youth popping pills for the thrill seeking? Thinking they can fly, off balconies leaping. One's facelift like weekend, too much competing. Trying to be someone else, won't be themselves. Skinny jeans got their manhood, short like elves. Weaves and eyelashes, puckering lips and tongues out. Should be enough to have dad's guns out. Take notice, we sit back and watch it happen. He's in extensions, lap dancing devils while rapping. She's in every video twerking, ass slapping. Y'all are Victor and Dre and shot, dildo strapping. I see what they're trying, I took notice. I see their motives as they're bringing 12 roses. Bullets are used on blacks now, not fire hoses. Necrophiliacs have bodies before it decomposes. Take notice.
Canaanland Moors and the music component of this, to me, as I was saying to my brother here, this is all representative of the ancient sciences which brought us back, or reawakened us to the art forms and the things that made us who we were. Because it says that we as humans fell. We were in disharmony, right? That's why we fell into the form of flesh, right? Because we weren't in harmony. And music is harmony. And like they say, leave them wanting more.
Canaanland Moors, mind elevation. Canaanland Moors, mind elevation. Canaanland Moors, mind elevation. We're there, yo. Canaanland Moors, mind elevation. Bench 500 pounds of knowledge. My mental squats keep my mind kick strong at mental devil's backs. Never heard of them, they like to test the weak minds. Yellow journalist propaganda like a slow grind. Make dicks hard with screens. Trannies cracking women's skulls, fighting in the women's leagues. We told you there's an agenda you wanna believe. No faith, fruition falls like a leaf. To raise your mind state you can't take a leave. No purple drinks or molded dispensary weed. Buckle down, create a library. Blacks don't read, learn how to study. Open chakras, watch your nose bleed. High at the feet of metaphysical masters. Young L man book before those podcasters. Mind waves extend, I'm my own broadcaster. Pick up the low vibes of you fraud pastors. Canaanland Moors,
elevation, you know. Canaanland Moors, mind elevation, you know how we do. Canaanland Moors, mind elevation. We're there, yo. Canaanland Moors,
I say I wanna do better, they laugh at me. I say I want my own sweater, they act happy. Tuck my arm in it, all caps, that's not me. I got an appellation. When they mad at me, they call the slave out, looking straight right at me. Say the people know the real me, they backstab me. Use an ex-con, that's charged 7 counts of humble. I feel though. Mine was a gutter from the gully I was born, seen told not to worry. Everything is right is wrong, everything is wrong is right. Mine thought it was cool, playing me for a fool, sending me to their school. Indeed it was a tool, like using it for a pool stick. I build, pound, drown, sound so acoustic. There goes the Mennonite, called them to prove it.
Canaanland Moors, mind elevation, you know. Canaanland Moors, mind elevation, you know how we do. Canaanland Moors, mind elevation.
We're there, yo.
Canaanland Moors,
not misbehave. We were raised to stay safe, not in the graves. We were raised by both, or parents single. With dirty bungle, we're taught don't mingle. We were raised to not misbehave. We were raised to stay safe, not in the graves. We were raised by both, or parents single. With dirty bungle, we're taught don't mingle.
Out of my mother's womb, a golden child without a silver spoon. Raised by maroons, marooned on a planet like I fell from a moon. Staring at my reflection, height of high noon. Some close the blinds, some open minds. Some gaze with open eyes. The lack of knowledge, you're always surprised and never in peace. A strong man, or a tin man's crease. I found you as a slave, and you call me a personal line I tend to reach. I was raised to embrace those that are weak. You came on your fours, I raised you on your feet. You took you to the mountaintop when life was deep. Deep in hell, I raised you well, cause I was raised well. Belt buckles, it made my skin swell. It took a family, a civic duty, a village to raise the unruly, truly.
We were raised to not misbehave. We were raised to stay safe, not in their graves. We were raised by both, or parents single. With dirty bungle, we're taught don't mingle. We were raised to not misbehave. We were raised to stay safe, not in their graves. We were raised by both, or parents single. With dirty bungle, we're taught don't mingle. We were raised to buy a dictionary, start a library, call it a true berry. Open your eyes very wide. New Moors taught master lower self, no higher. Stay strong, don't retire. Many won't last and return to the nigga state. See it as infinity, not a figure eight. Watch for colonist tricks, they use language. Study etymology and see their tricknology. Code of the streets gone, everyone's in rivalry. Shooting into crowds, making children casualties. Mothers bury sons, daughters chase dad away. We used to see happy faces, no one glad today. Terror in the eyes behind mask Fendi. Hearts filled with self-inflicted pain, souls empty. We were raised on strict discipline, have manners, respecting elders, watch for speed trap cameras. Study from the masters, never inepts. Moors, look your best, crystals on our chest. We learn de facto, keep rights, rug swept in. We learn from Cain, ain't no half-stepping. Attorneys taught us well about misrepresenting. Learn to reserve rights, give no consenting. Drop worlds on them, or walk away, no emotion venting. Tower and castle building, no TP tenting. We were raised to not misbehave. We were raised to stay safe, not in their graves. We were raised by both, or parents single. With dirty bungle, we're taught don't mingle. We were raised to not misbehave. We were raised to stay safe, not in their graves. We were raised by both, or parents single. With dirty bungle, we're taught don't mingle.
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Gates Cemetery, February the 4th days. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence and law makes it a little of a lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho. Keeping all my lions tamed, I'm Chris Jericho. Or keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I'm Rob Bass, mixing with rock the hard way. I was in a lost state. Prophets told me upright, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm Sorbet, rapping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, Deja Vu, Roman J. Israel. Had no but lay in plain sight, but people still can't see it. So the snake still showing up, stake still high, so the race still going up. Warriors of the North Gate, we not slowing up. Born in the manger, sworn to be savior. Walk through the valley of the shadows of the death dip in slavery. Looking for life, the book of Genesis. Astral plane entrances, invoke the nemesis. Abstract images of past lives kicking in. Danger, running for your life. Finish him.
Moorish Omar, key man or oracle. Using Trinity powers, decipher allegorical. Lost and metaphorical, holy books are metaphysic. Fact slap a dirty more or a Drew Ali critic. Calling him Thomas or Walter and get your face caved. Or cut like a close shave. Drowned in my brain waves, squashed by heat waves. Activating Kundalini. Abyssinia invaded by Mussolini. Selassie I in exile. Reptile in Genesis, niggas appearing real. All I see is false evidence. DA are feminists, stomped on by elephants. More like no prejudice, but want Moorish benefits. When you feel the pro-magnetic resonance. Apis horns of the sacred book, all maleficent. Great cosmic mothers, return to blessedness. No pestilence, ace all the testaments. Tap into remembrance, never to forget again. Use energy right, not put spell effects on men. Wandering the earth plane with no they live shades. Keeps you a mental slave as the horizon fades. It's been decades since Christian crusades. Not enough rebellions, too many vigil bouquets. Holding on to the fence, burning on doomsday. War ruled by Mars, it might be on a Tuesday.
Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quickie. What we do here is we add some common sense thinking to everyday situations or comments that may arise. Want to give it a try?
Islam Moors, peace and love to all Moors. Peace and love to all Moors. Azim Majid, Professor of Primary Care. How Islam Changed Medicine. How How Islam changed medicine. I have your pens for this one if you're into the history stuff. Islamic civilization once extended. Oh, forgot about. This one. Forgot about this one. All right. Islamic civilization once extended from India in the east to the Atlantic Ocean in the west. Islamic civilization once extended from India in the east to Atlantic Ocean in the west. Islamic civilization. From the east to the west. Give honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. He's the man. We're going to go to chapter 47, and we want you to keep in mind that Drew Ali was telling our people this 20s. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across the great Atlantis, even onto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands, before the great earthquake which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. Islamic civilization once extended from India in the east to the Atlantic Ocean in the west, even onto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and Atlantis Islands. That's what he just said. Same thing Noble Drew Ali told our people in the 20s with regard to them, who they are, and the impact that we had in the world as Moors. This is not how some ancient Egyptian stuff changed medicine. This is not how the Hebrew Israelites changed medicine. We always have to go back to Bashir, leaning back with the cigar. Leaning back with the cigar, that's known. That's known. That's known. Why don't you know is the question. Why don't you know that this is the Moroccan Empire? Islamic civilization that everybody knows. Guess who doesn't know? Take a wild guess. And then, Lord knows, just join the thing. You better be paying attention. You better. Buildings in Andalusia, such as the Alhambra in Granada, the Mezquita in Cordoba, and the Giralda in Seville, are reminders of the architectural imprint this civilization left on Western Europe. Less well remembered, however, is the impact of Islamic civilization on Western science, technology, and medicine between the years 1800 and 1450. Second sentence. Buildings in Andalusia, such as the Alhambra in Granada and Mezquita in Cordoba, and the Giralda in Seville, are reminders of the architectural imprint this civilization left on Western Europe. In Western Europe. It's not a secret. It's only a secret to those who don't want to pay attention to what's going on. It's Noble Ali, Moorish leaders, historical message to America. The Mohammedan religion is the least appreciated and probably the most misunderstood of the world's great religions. This is especially true in our Western world. Try to understand what Mohammedanism stands for and some of the things it has contributed to the world. Muhammad was the founder of the Mohammedan religion. It originated 13 centuries ago on the Arabian Peninsula, where the streams of commerce and culture met and mingled in the Middle Ages. Did you say years 1815, 1450? Okay. Where the markets of exchange were stationed for treasures of India. Did you say? Islamic civilization once extended from India in the east to Atlantic Ocean in the west. Is that the same thing Noble Ali is telling you right now? In the 20s? You have Azim Majid even trying to tell you, put you on some game. You gonna listen to him? Just to know that you should have been listening to the Prophet from the jump? We didn't realize? It originated 13 centuries ago on the Arabian Peninsula, where the streams of commerce and culture met and mingled in the Middle Ages, where the markets of exchange were stationed for treasures of India and the products of the Mediterranean coast. There, this religion was established in the unprecedented short period of 20 years, and unlike many other religions, without the aid of any royal patronage and support. Buddhism had its Ahsoka, Judaism its Joshua, Christianity its Constantine. But Mohammedanism had no person of royal rank and power to assist in its establishment and spread. Today, the religion is acknowledged by nearly 250 million souls and extends over an area equal to 1/3 of the globe. Now let's go back because, there was a lot. And this is Drew Ali. And everything he said is spirit, so more's better heed. So let's go back again before we get too far and you forget what's going on here. Muhammad was the founder of the Mohammedan religion. It originated 13 centuries ago on the Arabian Peninsula, where the streams of commerce and culture met and mingled in the Middle Ages, where the markets of the exchange were stationed for treasures of India and products of the Mediterranean coast. There, this religion was established in an unprecedented short period of 20 years, and unlike many other religions, without the aid of any royal patronage and support. Buddhism has its Ahsoka, Judaism its Joshua, Christianity its Constantine. We'll stop right there. That's the first one. How much people ever told you Christianity was founded by Constantine? So why do they have some fake European on the wall when they could just put Constantine up there? What the crosses and all this stuff? What's that have to do with anything? If you're a Christian, then Constantine is your Christ. That's your head. And don't give me any pictures of some European on the wall or some guy with locks and there's Jesus and all that stuff. What are you talking about? Christianity was founded by Constantine. And remember, he was slapping all these preachers and whoever in the 1920s who were playing games with the people, because he even told the Moors that they're going to be the last ones to come in. And the Europeans are going to be beating them in the head and they're going to be coming to the temple. That's when they're going to be here. All right. So Christianity was founded by Constantine. Don't get mad, do your research, and you'll see that it was. It has nothing to do with some Jesus. Mohammedanism had no person of royal rank and power to assist in its establishment and spread. Today, this religion is acknowledged by nearly 250 million souls and extends over an area equal... Okay, stop again. How come in the 1920s, Nobuju Ali is not telling you about nearly 250 million people? Nearly 250 million black men. 250 million and why do you say souls? Anybody else would have said people there. Remember 1920s, black man, ex-slave. He's talking on a whole different plane. He's talking to your subconscious. He's talking to you now from back then. Think how crazy that is. Riddle yourself that. Drew was talking to you in the 20s. He wasn't talking to people around him. You found out that you're a Moor right now because Drew called you in the 20s. Obviously you got the message. This religion is acknowledged by nearly 250 million souls and extends over an area equal to 1/3 of the globe. From Arabia, it spread eastward over Persia, Turkestan, Afghanistan, westward across Syria, Asia Minor, Turkey, southward to Africa, covering more than half of that continent. It found its way to India and beyond, to the islands of Sumatra, Java, and Borneo. To the early representatives of this faith, the world's debt is incalculably great. For it was they who transmitted the treasures of Greek literature from the Middle Ages to the Renaissance. They who originated the graceful forms of which the Taj Mahal and the Alhambra are the most famous examples. It was they who contributed to the sciences of algebra and chemistry, astronomy, and medicine. They who dotted the Saracen Empire with universities, who built at Baghdad and Cairo the most renowned universities of the world. Oh, and what's the difference between Septuagint and Bible? Well, one thing, if you know what's up, you know Bible is basic instructions before leaving earth, and it has nothing to do with some book stuff. Because the Bible comes from multiple sources, so it's not a Bible. It's something compiled with multiple sources. And Septuagint is nothing I even cared to. I just know that all these books, whatever books they are, that they say are, the religious scriptures or whatever the case is, right? Whatever it is, the messages are the same. All the books, regardless of the religion, the point is the same. So, not just, Septuagint or the oracle papers of the whatever. Throw all that stuff over there. And let's deal with a reference point that we have in our range. Don't go too far as if, because remember, all the reference points that we're talking about today is 800. That's the first we're going back. And when we go back to there's ample amounts of evidence of the history. Of the validation. Right? You're the scriptures. There ain't no book. You're it. Your life is the scriptures. That's the real scriptures. The trials and tribulations you go through, the demons that you had to fight to be where you're at now, to say, yeah, they're not getting me off this square for anything. Like the temple isn't some building, the temple between your ears. Everything's metaphysic, esoteric, and allegoric. Different level. Different level. I remember we didn't even get through the first paragraph yet. We didn't even get through the first paragraph yet. We even get to how Islam changed medicine yet. As was argued this month at the Royal Institution, today's Western world might look very different without the legacy of Muslim scholars in Baghdad, Cairo, Cordoba, and elsewhere. Hold on a second. I swear I heard somebody say something just like that. It was they who contributed to the sciences of algebra and chemistry, astronomy and medicine. They who dotted the Saracen Empire with universities and who built at Baghdad and Cairo and most renowned universities of the world. That's Juali. As was argued this month at the Royal Institution, today's Western world might look very different without the legacy of the Muslim scholars in Baghdad, Cairo, Cordoba, and elsewhere. Juali again. During those centuries of ecclesiastical despotism, when the Christian church suppressed all intellectual activities, save those that were theological, causing the talent that reproduces to supplant the genius it creates, Mohammedans did all in their power to encourage and stimulate research in every branch of human inquiry. So when Moors tell you study, it's because we're these Moors. These are some of the Moors we were the Moors back then who had the library at the house. And the house was a castle. And wall-to-wall ladder to go get books. And Moor could tell you anywhere on the shelf where you're going to get whatever book. Crazy, Moors are on the next level. Next level. I'll give you that one again. I'll give you this one again. During those centuries of ecclesiastical despotism, when the Christian church suppressed all intellectual activities, save those that were theological, causing the talent that reproduces to supplant the genius that creates, Mohammedans did all in their power to encourage and stimulate research in every branch of human inquiry. That's the same thing Moors are doing right now with our people. You tell me a Kush Day Live didn't stimulate you to do some research? You tell me I did. Nothing? You just watch that and then look for another one? You didn't write down anything and nothing? playing games. Let's go back to Azim. See what Azim's saying. As Islam spread out of the Arabian Peninsula into Syria, Egypt, and Iran, it met long-established civilizations and centers of learning. Arab scholars translated philosophical and scientific works from Greek, Syriac, the language of Eastern Christian scholars, Pahlavi, a scholarly language of pre-Islamic Iran, and Sanskrit into Arabic. The process of translation reached its peak with the establishment of the House of Wisdom by Abbasid Caliph al-Amun in Baghdad in 830. It made Arabic the most important scientific language of the world for many centuries and preserved knowledge that might otherwise have been lost forever. As well as assimilating and disseminating the knowledge of other cultures, Arab scholars made numerous important scientific and technological advances in mathematics, astronomy, chemistry, metallurgy, architecture, textiles, and agriculture. Techniques they developed, such as distillation, crystallization, and the use of alcohol as an antiseptic, are still used. Arab physicians and scholars also laid the basis for medical practice in Europe. Before the Islamic era, medical care was largely provided by priests in sanatoriums and annexes to temples. The main Arabian hospitals were centers of medical education and introduced many of the concepts and structures that we see in the modern hospitals, such as separate wards for men and women, personal and institutional hygiene, medical records, and pharmacies. You could just talk to the Moors in Germany, Brother Sheldon L. and all those other Moors near Europe, and they'll verify all that. With regard to the pharmacies, the Moorish pharmacies. Ibn al-Nafis, a 13th century Arab physician, described the pulmonary circulation more than 300 years before William Harvey. Surgeon Abu al-Qasim al-Zarawi wrote the Tasrif, which translates into Latin, became the leading medical text in European universities during the later Middle Ages. Al-Zarawi was also a noted pathologist, describing hydrocephalus and other congenital diseases, as well as developing new surgical technologies such as catgut sutures. Some describe Al-Razi, born in 865, as the greatest physician of the Islamic world. He wrote Kitab al-Mansuri, Liber al-Martsoris in Latin, a 10-volume treatise on Greek medicine, and also published on smallpox and measles. His texts continued to be reprinted well into the 19th century. The medical experts of Ibn Rushd were also widely used in European universities. Now just go back to Juali. The Moors or Mohammedans added to the beauty and grandeur of Spain. For centuries, art, science, literature, and chivalry flourished among them, while the rest of Europe was still sunk in the gloom of the Dark Ages. sunk in the gloom of the Dark Ages. Research suggests white slavery was much more common than previously believed. Remember, we just closed off in the Dark Ages. Right? A new study suggests that 1 million or more European Christians were enslaved by Muslims in North Africa between 1530 and 1780, a far greater number than had ever been estimated before. When did slavery start? Hundreds of thousands of Africans, both free and enslaved, aided the establishment and survival of colonies in the Americas and the New World. However, many consider a significant starting point to slavery in America to be 1619, when the privateer, the White Lion, brought 20 enslaved Africans ashore in the British colony of Jamestown, Virginia. The crew had seized the Africans from the Portuguese ship São João Batista. It's interesting that 1690 is between 1530 and 1780. So how were they going back and forth slaving Africans when they were slaves, or somebody playing you again, making you bend down to pray and then taking your head because you're a dumbass? They tell you, oh, your shoelace is undone, and you're looking down, you're in the middle of a fight. In a new book, Robert Davis, professor of history at Ohio State University, developed a unique methodology to calculate the number of white Christians who were enslaved along Africa's Barbary coast, arriving at much higher slave population estimates than any previous studies had found. Most other accounts of slavery along the Barbary coast didn't try to estimate the number of slaves, or only looked at the number of slaves in particular cities, Davis said. Most previously estimated slave counts have thus tended to be in the thousands, or at most in the tens of thousands. Davis, by contrast, has calculated that between 1 million and 1.25 million European Christians were captured and forced to work in North Africa from the 16th to the 18th centuries. Remember, don't talk about Moors. Go talk to Robert Davis, professor of history at Ohio State University. Don't say Jack the Moors. Go debate him. Moors hate Europeans and all this. No, this ain't us talking. This is this guy talking. Professor. Go talk to the professor. If you have an issue. Davis' new estimates appear in the book Christian Slaves, Muslim Masters, White Slavery in the Mediterranean, the Barbary Coast and Italy, 1500 to 1800s. Much of what has been written gives the impression that there were not many slaves and minimizes the impact that slavery had on Europe, Davis said. Most accounts only look at slavery in one place, or only for a short period of time. But when you take a broader, longer view, the massive scope of this slavery and its powerful impact become clear. Davis said it is useful to compare this Mediterranean slavery to the Atlantic slave trade that brought back Africans to the Americas. Over the course of 4 centuries, the Atlantic slave trade was much larger. About 10 to 12 million black Africans were brought to the Americas. But from 1500 to 1650, when transatlantic slaving was still in its infancy, more white Christian slaves were probably taken to Barbary than black African slaves to the Americas. Remember, this is the European talking. If you really think that you're the slave. One of the things that both the public and many scholars have tended to take as given is that slavery was always racial in nature, that only blacks have been slaves. But that is not true, Davis said. We cannot think of slavery as something that only white people did to black people. You better not be confused still. Right? The only way that they're bringing tens of millions of people over here on a boat is if they get them from over here. Because in 1690, Europeans were in slavery. And they were on the run. They thought that they had the upper hand by enslaving the European, and then no. But that was dumb. That was really dumb. Because the karmic debt falls on what we're going through right now. We're looking at it. Because the roles are gonna have to switch. It's just the law of balance. You're gonna have your run, then your stuff's gonna fall, and then they're gonna have their run, and their stuff's gonna fall, and then you're gonna have your run, and then they're, you know. Because it's a cycle. We cannot think of slavery as something that only white people did to black people. But then when they go talk about it, they're not going to talk about black enslaved whites. They're going to talk about Muslim masters. They're going to talk about the Islamic Arab slavery. They're not going to say black guys enslaved them. How come they don't say black guys enslaved them? You see how they're playing games with you? During the time period Davis studied, it was religion and ethnicity, as much as race, that determined who became slaves. Enslavement was a very real possibility for anyone who traveled in the Mediterranean or who lived along the shores in places like Italy, France, Spain, and Portugal, and even as far north as England and Iceland. Pirates called corsairs from cities along the Barbary coast in North Africa, cities such as Tunis and Algiers, would raid ships in the Mediterranean and Atlantic, as well as seaside villages, to capture men, women, and children. The impact of these attacks were devastating. France, England, and Spain each lost thousands of ships and long stretches of the Spanish and Italian coasts were almost completely abandoned by their inhabitants. At its peak, the destruction and depopulation of some areas probably extended what Europe's slavers would later inflict on African interior. Which, that couldn't happen. Because the only way to get into African interior is if it's African. It wasn't Europeans enslaving. It was the Africans coming out saying, apologizing for slavery and all that. Ain't no Europeans coming out for that. They played a little game with you. But once the Africans came out and said, yeah, it was us, we're sorry. Now it's on you. Now it's on you. Back to Drew Ali. The Moors were the most ingenious and industrious of the subjects of Spain. Their expulsion from Spain in 1610 was one of the chief causes of decadence of that country, for both agriculture and industry fell into decay. Fell into decay after their departure. Fell into decay. Because the Moors were the saviors of humanity. Mohammedanism makes no distinction between high and low, rich and poor. It is like the sky. It has room for all. The Quran should be of interest to all readers. It is the Bible of the Mohammedans, ruling over the customs and actions of over 200 million of people. It is a work of importance, whether considered from a religious, philosophical, or literary viewpoint. In the promotion of plans for the betterment of mankind, there has never been some kind of opposition. And as strange as it may seem, such opposition has come from sources where there were no ideas or the lack of courage to force attention to ideas. Whether in church, state, or the social community, any attempt to do anything out of the usual way seldom fails to receive criticism, not because the course cannot be pursued legally or that it is unreasonable, but because it has been considered in terms as new. The Moorish Science Temple of America has received some opposition and criticism. In the main, the opposition has come from certain Christian ministers. They have expressed themselves as being opposed to our propagation of the Mohammedan religion, possibly because the promotion of Mohammedan faith among our people in the United States is considered by them in terms as something new. Whatever the reason may be for their opposition, the legal right to oppose citizens, individuals, and organizations alike for their religious beliefs does not exist in the United States. The door of religious freedom made by the American Constitution swings open to all, and people may enter through it and worship as they desire. American Constitution, not United States Constitution. You said exist in the United States right there. So then if it says exist in the United States, then door of religious freedom made by the United States Constitution, they should say. Or is he talking about something completely different when he says United States? Because United States in the 1920s doesn't mean what they say United States today. Completely different meaning. Without religious freedom, no search for truth would be possible. Without religious freedom, no discovery of truth would be useful. Without religious freedom, religious progress would be checked, and we would no longer march forward toward the nobler life which the future holds for the races of men. Without religious freedom, there would be no inspiration to uplift your heads and gaze with fearlessness into the vast beyond, seeking a hope eternal. Remember, this is Moorish leaders' message to America. Moorish leaders' message to America. Putting everybody on notice. Of the position of the Moors. Right? Showing Moors where they're supposed to be at with this. How they're supposed to be looking at it. You're talking about religious freedom and constitution. Obviously, this is not some church service. If he's talking American Constitution and religious freedom, that means he's not talking religious like church and have the book and whatever. You have to get it. And remember, it's only the 6 of you out there who are even concerned with raising your frequency. That's who we're here to get. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Honors to all the mothers. It's peace and love always. Love is our first principle. Learn to love instead of hate. Stay true, Moors. Don't forget. Don't forget. Juali Day is up and coming. 12th annual. We're gonna give our honors to the Prophet. Gonna give our honors to the Prophet. Noble Juali, January 8th, 2022. Got a good lineup. Unfortunately, they don't have Cash App here, so it's PayPal everything. Canaanlandguide@gmail.com is the PayPal. And once you make the PayPal, then we'll, on the day of, we'll send you the link. So peace and love to all the Moors worldwide. Well, Islam, Moor.
Islam, yes.
You're not sounding too, you're sounding
Hold on
low.
a second. Hold on, my audio is jacked up.
Oh, you're good. I just put up the volume. You're good. What's good, More?
Hey, Islam. Hey, real quick. I that's why I was asking you at the beginning of class, like, what you going over, man? Because I like to see if I got some literature.
Oh, to match up? Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? The compliment what you're talking about.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
got this book here. It's a good series, man. This is a Great Ages of Man, Early Islam. And it Time Life made these books in like the 60s. It's like a whole series. I'm only missing like one of them. But just to go on, piggyback off what you were saying a little bit, just to show the difference of how we treat people as opposed to like how they did us. And specifically, I'm talking about the Christians. And you know how they talk about how in in Al-Andalus, you couldn't tell the difference between the Islamic, the Muslims, the Christians, and whatever, and the Jews. And I just want to show the love and the compassion of our people a little bit. So I got this
Oh,
excerpt
yeah,
here,
go ahead, More.
and it was talking about the different elements of so-called Spain, right? It was a society many layers deep, for Muslim domination brought prosperity to many levels of the Spanish life. So at the top of the Islamic society, Spanish society, were of course the Muslim rulers. And then they say the Spanish, hold on, where is it at? They say the Spanish people that were kind of already there below the Muslim rulers were the Spanish society, so-called Moors, who just probably were already up there, wasn't down with the Islam thing yet in the sense. And then they said the fourth element in the Islamic Spain was the Jews, finding the crescent to be far more tolerant of the synagogue than the cross had been. They readily accepted Arabic culture. And underneath them all, submerged but still alive, was the Catholic Church, because, we came to crush them. So embittered by his losses, the church worked ceaselessly among his Spanish sons to fan the flames of vengeance. All right. So what they were dealing with in north of Spain, still under Christendom, says Al-Andalus, Islam's name for Spanish possession, was highly agreeable, while Europe north of the Pyrenees wallowed in brutish conditions of the Dark Ages. Cordoba citizens were enjoying public plumbing and illuminated streets. We had street lights.
Yep.
All right. Street lights in this bad boy. So
Street lights.
Walking down the street at night, safe. So they started taking our culture, right? We taught them philosophy, law, literature, mathematics, medicine, like you're getting on. And there's some I had dropped a list of names. If y'all go back through the comments of just different Islamic Moorish medicine men, physicians that you can study who changed the whole Western frontier of medicine and all that. But astronomy, history, geography were taught, and the status symbol for a wealthy man was a well-stocked library. Like you said, more he could tell you anywhere one of them books was. All right. So this is a text from a certain Bishop Alvaro, and he quoted, my fellow Christians, because how much they wanted to be like us. My fellow Christians delight in the poems and romances of the Arabs. They study the works of Mohammedan theologians and philosophers, not in order to refute them, but to acquire a correct and elegant Arabic style. Where today can a layman be found who reads the Latin commentaries on the Holy Scriptures? Alas, the young Christians who are most conspicuous for their talents have no knowledge of any literature and language but Arabic, save Arabic.
That's good.
They read and study avidly Arabic books. They amass whole libraries of them at vast cost, and they everywhere sing the praises of Arabic Lord. These are so-called Christians, right? So, far from coming to terms, they say something about Alvaro. He didn't even really like Islam. He said he wasn't really coming to terms with them. So what they had to do, and this is the mercy part. This is how Moors really get down. The Christians, they encouraged their followers to seek martyrdom by blaspheming the prophet, Muhammad, and welcoming the punishment that followed. Often, the Muslim judges of these frenzied wrongdoers were reluctant to grant their wishes, a reluctance not shared by Christian judges when, after 7 centuries of Muslim rule, the roles were reversed. So we show mercy. And then even when they tried to blaspheme the prophet, just like on some, man, you know what? We're not even going to do that to you because we know what you're trying to do. But he's saying when the roles were reversed, boy, they took the opportunity to light us up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No mercy.
No mercy. And and then further confirmation, because these Christians know, these people know, Christianity did not even hesitate to distort history. So when they be like, oh well, what everybody knows they changed, they reconstructed this whole thing to get this, what I'm saying, changed over to the narrative that they like.
Yeah.
So just a little something more, just to add on to what you was bringing.
Give thanks more.
Man, it's long.
Always appreciate it. Oh yeah, put the book out there one more time. If anybody wants to look for that series.
Early Islam, the Great Ages of Man. Early Islam. It's a what is it? Time Life Books. And I always do this too, so people can see I don't know, maybe they got to look up a catalog numbers or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff. Here we go. Yeah. Early Islam, 1967, Time Inc. And I mean, there's some man, great excerpts. Here, chapter 6, the scientists, philosophers. That's where they talk about all the medicine and stuff. How the Islamic scholars basically showed them what's up, and with alchemy. You feel me? All those terms we use, like alchemical terms and stuff like that, are Arabic. They been have showed everybody how to make alcohol and do all these elixirs and stuff like that. They even had bestiaries. This is cool. I'm just gonna show this just because we own right now. Everybody who thought the phoenix and all those kind of birds, like the giant birds, were fake. This is from a bestiary, Persian bestiary. So they would catalog the animals. What we call maybe like a giant bird, like the phoenix or something like that, was called the simurg. They said it was found in inaccessible islands and near the equator. It's fearless beyond all other animals. He can carry off exceedingly large animals like the elephant and the rhinoceros.
What the hell?
And when he does, rocks quake and tremble. He builds his nest upon large trees. And I'm not talking about probably like, maybe it have to be at least a redwood or one of them ancient trees like in Arizona, the butts that they probably cut down for this dang thing.
Yeah.
He said he was carrying off elephants for food. That's some that's some next level
crazy
stuff.
Carry off an elephant
Or a rhinoceros.
Yeah, you're next level. You're carrying off an elephant.
That's next level, bro.
You're next level.
Yeah, so check that book out, man.
That's
if y'all get a chance, man. It's got some interesting things in it and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just happy to share a little bit of what I got, y'all.
Islam,
y'all.
Peace and love to all the Moors worldwide. Honors to the Prophet, Mobutu Ali.
Highest honors.
And highest honors. Honors to all the Moors worldwide, and honors to all the mothers. Peace and love to all. Islam more.
Islam more.
Peace.
Peace.